Do you want this amazingly bright gold-white dye too? Stupid question. Of course you do. Hey everyone, it's Spopes. After like 8 hours of grinding, I finally have the Anu white dye. That's the new dye from the Seasoned Monster Slayer achievement, where you have to kill thousands of monsters in challenge difficulty. My goal here is to at least have the time that it takes you to get this achievement, but keep in mind this will take probably at least 4 hours to knock out. In this video, I'm going to cover every single location you need to go to get the Anu white dye with maximum efficiency. Each sub-achievement will give you its own iridescent dye, all of which are actually pretty good. But Anu white is definitely the capstone, and I really did my research here to figure out the maximum efficiency method for getting it. Before we dive in, please like and hype and make sure you're subbed, and consider upgrading your support with a Spopes Army membership, a merch purchase, or a donation. First off, a little background of what we're talking about here. Anu white is the dye I'm currently wearing, and you get it from the achievement that just came out in U50 called Seasoned Monster Slayer. This requires completing Seasoned Nature Slayer, Seasoned Humanoid Slayer, Seasoned Daedra Slayer, Seasoned Construct Slayer, and Seasoned Undead Slayer. Each of these achievements gives its own dye. For Undead, it's Draugr Flesh. For Nature, it's Vinebeard Green. For Humanoids, it's Brigand Brown, which I really like. For Daedra, it's Boethian Ash. And for Constructs, it's Brassy Brass, which is honestly a pretty good gold dye. It's just a lot darker than Anu white. To complete these achievements, you need to be in Seasoned Challenge difficulty or higher. You can technically complete it on either Master or Vestige as well, but for the sake of efficiency, I strongly recommend staying in Seasoned. Bumping things up will only make it take longer and be a lot harder. I knocked all these out quite easily with my Dragon Knight build, which I have updated slightly, but the old version will work just as well. You can also use any of my Templar builds, but my experience is with the DK, so that's what I'm going to recommend. Anu white is my new favorite dye in the game. It was totally worth the grind. Now let's get into a granular step-by-step guide on exactly how to get this dye. Every single location you should go to slay monsters for the maximum efficiency in getting the achievement. After giving it considerable thought, I do recommend you complete these achievements in the order I'm going to list them out. Starting with Construct Slayer. This achievement requires you to kill 500 Dwarven Constructs on Seasoned difficulty or higher. The problem with Dwarven Constructs is they're usually either quite tanky or annoying to take down, but I found the sweet spot for this in Bthanual, which is located in Deshaan. As you can see, it's just west of Mournhold, and in this location you won't come across any Dwarven Spheres, no Centurions, no Swarming Spiders, which only give you 1 kill for the entire swarm. This is made up of entirely normal Dwarven Spiders. Now, I do want to note that you want to go to actual Bthanual, not Lower Bthanual the Delve. This isn't a delve, it's just a location on the map. I did my best to count, and I believe there are 29 Dwarven Spiders in here, and they're all located in the entrance corridor and the main room. I found that clearing all of them takes around 90 seconds, and by the time you're done, they will have respawned. Getting 500 will take 18 runs, and that all equates to about 30 minutes of grinding. It took me quite a bit of research to get to this point, but in the end, I found this sub-achievement to be the easiest and fastest to complete. Just don't mess around with anywhere that has Dwarven Spheres, Centurions, or Swarming Spiders. Go straight to Bthanual, clear the normal spiders, and rinse and repeat. Dwarven Spiders are the easiest constructs to take down, and honestly, this step should not take you anywhere near as long as the others. Unfortunately, I definitely cannot say the same thing for Seasoned Daedra Slayer. This was one of the grindiest segments of the achievements. Thankfully, you only have to take out 6 of these different types of Daedra, something I only realized when I was almost done. A great reminder to always read the tooltip carefully. But yes, while there are 8 types of Daedra listed in the achievement, you only have to kill 6 of them, making it slightly easier. But without knowing the exact locations you should go to for each of these Daedra types, this would be quite the slog, and honestly, it kind of is anyway. The 6 types of Daedra I recommend you focus on are Bestial, Humanoid, Flame Atronachs, Storm Atronachs, Frost Atronachs, and then either Flesh or Air Atronachs. We'll get into why you might choose either of those a little bit later in the section. But the category I suggest you take out first is Bestial Daedra, and the location I suggest you do it is Brothers of Strife in Stonefalls. This is an overland location that is crawling with scamps. Scamps have a little bit more health than Bane-Kin, but I couldn't really find a good Bane-Kin location, and here there are so many scamps if you do a simple circle, the ones you've killed will respawn by the time you get back to the beginning. There aren't any clan fears or anything else annoying to bother you here, just scamps, and to get the 200 you need for the Bestial Daedra section, I'd say it's took me around 15 to 30 minutes. Once you've cleared all your scamps, I recommend you move on to Humanoid Daedra. And now you might be wondering why I'm focusing on these ones that have a higher count instead of the Atronachs that have a lower count. Why I'm having you do categories of Daedra where there's 200 instead of 30. And the reason for that is that these Atronachs are generally kind of hard to track down in large quantities, especially Iron Atronachs, which I skipped entirely. The other ones aren't so bad, but they definitely aren't clustered in large quantities anywhere, making the categories where you have to kill larger numbers actually faster and easier to complete. So for Humanoid Daedra, you're going to want to go to Coldharbour and the Village of the Lost public dungeon. This is over on the eastern section of the map. You can access it immediately when you go to Coldharbour, and it is filled almost entirely with Humanoid Daedra. There are also Flame Atronachs here, which will help you get started on that section of the achievement. Interestingly enough, Winged Twilights don't count toward anything here. They are not Humanoid Daedra, they are not Bestial Daedra, they are their own separate category of Winged Daedra, which is not listed in the achievement. So if you can, avoid them, but they're often interspersed with the packs in this dungeon. There's a simple loop you can follow to kill tons and tons of Humanoid Daedra, with some Flame Atros thrown into the mix. Overall, I'd say this section should take you about 30 minutes. Now it's time to move on to the Atronachs, and this is where things get a little tricky. You will have already probably killed 30, 40, maybe 50 Flame Atronachs in Village of the Lost, so you have a good head start there. Depending on how you want to do this, you now have two options at your disposal. If you want to clear Air Atronachs at the same time that you get Frost, Storm, and Flame Atronachs, you can go to Spellscar and Craglorn. Frost Atronachs are located in the southern section, Storm Atronachs are up north, and Flame Atronachs are over here in the east. The area is also crawling with Spellfiend vampires, which will help you get a head start on the Undead Slayer achievements. There are two issues with Spellscar though. One, it's very populated, you may have trouble getting kills. Two, the enemies are a lot harder here because it's a group area. Especially for Flame Atronachs, they're huge and they're basically on their own, surrounded by Air Atronachs. However, Spellscar is the best place to find Air Atronachs in the game. So if you want to go the Air Atronach path, you'll definitely want to spend at least some time in Spellscar. However, there is another location at your disposal if you'd rather focus on Flame, Storm, and Frost Atros. And you don't mind getting some Flesh Atronachs at the end as well. I'm talking about Willowgrove in Reaper's March. This area is crawling with Flame, Storm, and Frost Atronachs. For them to appear, you have to start the quest in the village. You have to collect some ingredients and talk to some people. It takes about 5 minutes. And then if you go slightly south of the village, you'll find an area in the trees where there are tons of Atros running around. Unlike in Spellscar, these are very easy to take down. They are normal mob level difficulty, except you're on challenge difficulty, of course, but you know what I mean. And especially for Flame Atronachs, it's going to be a lot easier to go here. So one approach you can take is get the Air Atronachs in Spellscar while getting some other Atronachs along the way, then go to Willowgrove to finish up. That's actually what I did. And use this area to get your remaining Frost and Flame Atronachs and make a dent in the Storm Atronach requirements. What's kind of weird about this achievement is it has you kill 100 Storm Atronachs, which are basically as difficult to kill as Frost Atronachs, so I don't know why it wasn't 30 like the rest. But in any case, even when you're already done with the other requirements in Willowgrove or Spellscar, you're still going to need Storm Atros. Thankfully, there is a very weird exploit, or just, the way the game is coded, that will help you with this. For whatever inexplicable reason, the Hollow Men in Greenheart count as Storm Atronachs. This honestly befuddles me greatly, but I'm not going to complain about it. This area has a pretty high concentration of these enemies, and they are as easy to take down as normal humanoids, but they will count toward your Storm Atronach requirements. Oddly enough, the way the game is coded is totally mystifying sometimes. So at this point, if you followed the guide the way I put it forward, you will have knocked out Bestial Daedra, Humanoid Daedra, Flame Atros, Storm Atros, Frost Atros, and Air Atros. But if, for instance, you skip the Spellscar step and did not get the Air Atronachs, you can also go kill Flesh Atronachs to complete your 6th and last Daedra Slayer requirement. The best spot for Flesh Atronachs is Abamath in southern Malabal Tor. There are also some other enemy types in here that you can either avoid or kill to progress the other parts of the achievement. This is a pretty high abundance of Flesh Atronachs. This part only took me about 15 to 30 minutes. And then if for some reason you want to hurt yourself by completing the Iron Atronach section, there is a delve in High Isle where you can go called the Firepot. However, that's a very low efficiency option that I didn't even pursue at all. At this point, whichever way you went about it, you should have 6 different types of Daedra slain, thus completing Seasoned Daedra Slayer. This was probably the grindiest or second grindiest section of the whole Anu White achievements. It took me quite a while both doing it and researching it, but hopefully if you follow my steps in order, it should take you quite a bit less time. But do expect to be really done with hunting down and slaying Daedra by the time you are done with Seasoned Daedra Slayer. All right, on to the next section, Seasoned Humanoid Slayer. This one is quite a bit easier. By this point, as you've been adventuring around, you should have probably already killed quite a few humanoids, getting a little bit of a head start in the kill humanoids section. And the location in the game with the highest concentration of humanoids is going to be Crimson Cove, the public dungeon in Malabal Tor. This place is just crawling with humanoid enemies. They're in large packs of 5 to 7. There are multiple rooms you can run through. There's a pretty good circuit that you can just run through and kill lots and lots of enemies. This is actually my favorite public dungeon for farming in general, so it was no problem going back to Crimson Cove to knock out this part of the achievements. Even though you have to kill 500 humanoids, this section did not really take me that long, especially with the head start I had on that requirement already. Where you'll want to go to kill goblins is Toothmaul Gully public dungeon in Auridon. Most of the enemies in here are goblins, and they're in large packs, but you will also come across some stranglers and some durzogs, which will help progress the Nature Slayer achievement. Again, because they're in such large quantities and easy to take down, even unseasoned, this section did not take me very long at all. As far as Giant-Kin go, this is not just referred to giants, thankfully, because they are pretty rare and tanky. You can also take down ogres, and there's an ideal delve for doing so. It's called Carac Dena, and it's in Greenshade, actually quite near to Greenheart, so you might want to do these at the same time. But literally all the enemies in Carac Dena are ogres, and some of them have really low health compared to the others. I don't really know why. They look exactly the same, but this really does not take long. You will have gotten your 50 Giant-Kin within about 10 to 15 minutes by running around Carac Dena. Next to the Dwarven Construct Slayer, this was the easiest section of the achievement to complete. It's quite simple to find humanoids, goblins, and Giant-Kin. I'd say this section overall only took me about an hour, maybe a little more. And now we move on to Seasoned Nature Slayer, which was probably the hardest section. As you can see, you have a lot of categories here, and unlike the Daedra Slayer achievement, you have to do all of them. After quite a bit of trial and error, I did come across the most efficient method for doing this though, and it involves a little known location in Grahtwood. If you go to Grahtwood and then down to Haven, you will see this little stretch of coastline over here to the east of the city. Now what you will find if you go here is that it is crawling with mudcrabs. Basically from this section onward. In this little half moon, you just go back and forth killing mudcrabs, and that will quickly fulfill your chitinous creatures requirements. What's nice about this area is there are also some crocodiles in here to help progress the lizard-like creatures requirements. You will also find some insects over in this area in the form of wasps, and over here in the form of horvers. There will also be some stranglers for the plant-like creatures requirement. And over here at the far end, you will find a couple of nereids to get a head start on the water-based creatures requirement. You can even find some senches in here to kill some beasts to get started on that. Not to toot my own horn, but I feel like this was the most impressive part of my research here. It is very easy to miss this area, but it is great for mudcrabs, and you can also start on the other sections of the achievement while you go slay mudcrabs. They do take a little while to regenerate, so while you wait for them to respawn, go kill some other enemies, then come back. This area will fulfill your chitinous creatures requirements, and it will give you a head start on some of the other sections. From there, I suggest you knock out the water-based creatures requirements in a delve called the Chill Hollow in Eastmarch, just east of the city of Windhelm. This area is crawling with wisps, wisp mothers, and also wolves. Wisps and wisp mothers count toward the water-based creatures requirement, and killing the wolves will progress you further along with beasts. This was a very easy part of the achievement for me, only took around 15 minutes or so. From there, it's time to knock out plant-like creatures, lizard-like creatures, and beasts in the Rootsunder Ruins public dungeon just south of Eldenroot in Grahtwood. This public dungeon is filled with Spriggans and Stranglers, which count as plant-based enemies, but it also has lots of crocodiles and senches, which count as lizard-like and beasts. Because you only have to kill 100 of them, you'll complete the plant-like creatures requirement a lot faster than beasts or lizards. But still, after considerable research, I confirm this remains the best place to hunt down lizards and beasts. Simply try to avoid the plant-like creatures after you complete that section of the achievement. I'm not going to lie to you, this will take a while. And also, do not complete the quest. If you do, the enemies will turn yellow, which means they're not aggressive, which means you have to attack them for them to follow you. it makes kiting them kind of difficult. But yeah, this took me over an hour to complete. I actually left and came back because I thought there might be a better option for lizards and beasts. Turns out there is not. But yes, be prepared for quite a long grind for this section. The remaining sections, though, are not so hard. For netches and amorphous creatures, I recommend that you kill netches, though Voroplasm does also count as amorphous creatures, in which case you might want to go the Sophir Cavern Delve in Murkmire. But what I did here was I hunted down the highest concentration of netches in the game, which appears to be around the Sulphur Pool's Way Shrine in Stonefalls. There are lots of netches just floating around here, plenty of Betty netches too, which are a lot easier to take down. Honestly, this section of the achievement only took me 10 to 15 minutes. It also segues perfectly into the next section of the achievement, which is killing insects. You have to kill 250 of them, but thankfully there are tons and tons of shocks in the sulfur pools themselves. Is it shocks or is it shulks? I don't know how to pronounce that, but I'm just gonna say shocks. That's the only enemy type you'll find in here. They respawn very quickly and they're everywhere. So that will do it for Seasoned Nature Slayer. You've got your beasts, your insects, your lizards, your plants, your water-based, your chitinous, and your netches. It's a toss-up between this and Daedra Slayer, but this was probably the hardest one. Good luck and good hunting. I really hope the guide helps here. All right, last but not least, but also not the hardest, is Seasoned Undead Slayer. We're going to start with skeletons, while also knocking out some ghosts and zombies at the Forgotten Crypts public dungeon in Deshaan. There are a lot more skeletons here than zombies or ghosts, but there are also quite a few ghosts and at least a handful of zombies. There are two simple little circles you can run in. One of the problems here is it is often quite crowded, but still it has the highest density of skeletons in the game and helps progress you in the other sections of the achievement. Once you've killed your skeletons and gotten a head start on zombies and ghosts, it's time to go finish out the zombie and ghost requirements in other areas. You will have probably knocked out some of the vampires by this point if you went to Spellscar, but you'll still need to get quite a few more. But first, zombies and ghosts. The best place to finish out your zombies is the Vile Laboratory in Coldharbour. They are just swarming around this area, but speaking of swarming, avoid the swarming zombies because again, a whole pack only counts as one kill. The zombies are spread out throughout this whole area. Just simply go from pack to pack, taking them out, and you should get to 500 kills relatively quickly. The best place for ghosts is again in Stonefalls. That has been a popular zone in this guide for some reason. But you'll want to go to the Starved Plain that is just outside of Davin's Watch. This place is crawling with ghosts that respawn almost immediately. They're in a flat, relatively small area. They're constantly popping back up. It did not take me long at all to finish out the ghost requirement here. However, if it is too busy, you can also hunt ghosts in Tanzelwell and Auridon. The only problem here is the ghosts take a long time to respawn, so it's not as efficient in that regard. All right, and now the very last thing you'll need to do to get this whole achievement done and get your Anu White die is go to Cold Rock Diggings in Alik'r and slay some vampires. Except for a few bats, this delve is populated entirely by vampires. Just simply go around it in circles, kill the vampires and their thralls, and you'll be done in no time. You'll have completed Seasoned Undead Slayer, and you will finally have Anu White. Allow me to be the first to congratulate you on a grind well done. You did the work and you got the die. Well, maybe not yet, but the nice thing about this video is I've separated it all into timestamps, making it easy to go back and revisit the places you need to go. And yes, this was quite hard for me to figure out, so I really appreciate you watching. It is my fervent hope this helps you get the die yourself, and with a lot less time and effort than I put into it. But as you can see here, Anu White is well worth the effort, and the other dies are also quite good. They are all iridescent, and I like Brassy Brass. Vinebeer Green is also quite good. Boethian Ash is a great purple, and Brigand Brown is my new favorite brown dye in the game. Draugr Flesh is also very bright and silvery and iridescent. Every single one of these dyes is honestly amazing and well worth the chase. In the comments, do let me know what you think about the guide and the dyes, whether it's worth it, whether it's too hard, whether I made it easier for you with the video. And if I did make the process easier, please keep in mind this was a major labor of love. I would really appreciate your support on this one, so please start by just liking the video, hyping it, and subscribing. And if you really want to show your appreciation for all the hard work I put in here, become a member of the Spopes Army. It's very affordable and comes with great perks, or show off how much you love Spopes with some official gear, or you can always just leave me a donation on my Fourth Wall site or here on YouTube. I'm really grateful for your support, everybody. This is a tough one, but well worth it. I'm also grateful to God. We're going to finish up the video, as always, with a prayer. Lord Jesus, thank you for giving me the strength and the fortitude to get this die and make this video. Lord, thank you for the developers at ZOS making ESO such a beautiful game. Lord, I ask you, bless ESO and my channel, bless my whole audience, bless everyone who's a part of my community. And Lord, please do help me know you and follow your will. Please guide me to your path of providence and peace and love. I give all glory to you for this video and my channel, Lord Jesus. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Thanks for watching the video until the end. I do so hope it was helpful. Before you go, please remember to like, hype, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, turn on notifications, because I'll be back soon with new content.